This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Hi, how are you? My name is Denise Lopez, Gill, and I am a Chicago public school teacher of over 25 years. And I just want to talk to you for a little bit about back to the basics, a focus on sight words, phonics, and comprehension, because we want to get our kids excited about reading. And so I say, go back to the basics. What are the basics? For me, bottom line, can your child read? Now, some people will say, are they reading on grade level? Because that's really important for the schools. But are your children improving and progressing in their reading skills from year to year? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know if your child knows the sight words, or some people call them Dolch words for their grade level? Because we're focusing on the primary grades. So I'm going to show you what the sight words are a little bit later. But something else to think about, is your child producing the sounds for the words they are reading? When you sit with your child, are you paying attention to what skills they are using? Just like when you read, do you know what skills you're using? Do you notice that you're thinking about what you're reading? Or do you notice that you make connections to other things that you know about? For instance, if you're on social media and you read something new, do you go, oh, that reminds me of something? Or that reminds me of another book I read or a TV show? We want our children to be able to do the exact same thing. So let's see, what else can we do? Now, why is this an important skill? Because children need to know how to read to survive every day. The more competent they are as readers, the easier things can become across the board with reading, writing, with having conversations with people, with engaging on social media. Have you ever heard readers are leaders? It's true. And reading is not optional. You want to make sure that your child is focused in when they're reading so that they're doing critical thinking and they're paying attention to what they're reading so they can make great decisions. All right, so going with the basics. So when I am teaching, I am focused on word study, which includes phonics and phonemic awareness. And I'm going to break it down for you. But children use these skills all the time, just like we use them. And we want to make sure that we are helping to coach them to improvement. So phonemic awareness is that ability to hear and manipulate sounds through the different games that we play with them. Sometimes it's a rhyming game. Does cat and hat rhyme? Hopefully they'll say yes because the beginning sound is the same. Does fish and girl rhyme? Obviously not. But also blending. So there are tons of different games you can play with your kids, and sometimes we do it anyway, especially like with nursery rhymes and different songs that we do. Blending is, can your child put the sounds together? So I brought just a couple of games. And this is something that you could write on paper. You can pull it up online, but I have a cute little game that I do with my kids. So if you're trying to blend a word, you would do g. And then you would tell them to slide it together to get mug. In this game, you have a card. Another way that I do it is we have the kids chop the sounds on their arm. You could do g, mug to slide down the words. Segmenting is putting those words and breaking them down, and then identifying phonemes, which are those sounds that you hear. Of course, we know those old trusty flashcards. You can go to the Dollar Tree, you can go to the teacher store, or you could take some notebook paper and write them down. But have your child name the letter. It's good to have them name the picture because they're going to see tons of pictures if they're in primary classroom. And then just go through. You want to continue helping your child practice those sounds because that will help them to become fluent when they're working on their reading. Now, phonics moves into the mechanics of your child recognizing the written connection to these letter sounds. So when they see this flashcard, they're not just hearing it, but they're making a connection in their head. And so then that helps them to know how language works. So In primary grades, we start focusing on word attack skills. We start teaching the kids spelling patterns like I before E, except after C. And then we work on decoding, breaking those words down. Also, word analysis skills and context clues. So all of those things start to come together when we're teaching reading to your child. And now, what could you do with that? Again, you can do nursery rhymes. We like to do alliteration, which is repeating the sounds. You know those tongue twisters? We go, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, how many peppers did Peter Piper pick? Those types of activities are helping your child to make connections to sounds that they hear and words that they'll see, because trust me, if they're in the primary grades, their teachers are hopefully writing all the time. Hopefully they're exposing them to books all the time. And so your child will begin to make those connections with the things that they see, the things that they hear, and hopefully the things that they write. So even though I'm not focusing on writing, trust me, it is a big part of the literacy journey that your child is on. Now, sight words. I, as a primary teacher, always focus on sight words with my students because it is a great way to see them make reading progress. So if you go to this website, and there are tons of websites online. Let me go here. You should see this. And this is a site that has the Dolch word list, which are also the sight word list. And so all you have to do is go down. You can make flashcards. Again, I just write those words down. You can go to store and buy flashcards. Just love going to the Dollar Tree to get those flashcards. Close. So I just want to show you really, really quick. What are sight words? Sight words are the words in our English language that your child should be able to read as soon as they see them. A lot of them can't be chopped or broken down. So we teach the kids that when you see this word, you should be able to say it. So for students that are in pre-K, now some teachers will not teach the words in pre-K. We will focus on them, but we usually push it in kindergarten. But even if your child is homeschooled, this is something that you want to focus on, because most books that are written for primary students contain over 60% of their written language as sight words. It helps to build children's confidence when they're reading. It helps to build their self-esteem as they're starting to recognize the words and make connections to what they're reading. So just really quick, some of the words that we start off with is a, and, big, can, for, go. When we're reading, when we're writing, when we're talking to the kids, they see these words all the time. Just like when you're reading, if you read a newspaper, you see these words. When you look at advertisements, you'll see these words as well. So you want to make sure you are focusing on those sight words. I go back. I'm sorry. No. And I'm clicking too many times. So those were the pre-K words. And for the sight words, they have them broken down into the pre-K list, a kindergarten list, a first grade, second grade, and a third grade list. And as I can see, they've even added a noun sight word list. Now, as long as I've been teaching, I had noticed that they did a noun sight word list. But sight words are going to be those words that you help your child know when they see them. Most of them can't be broken down because, like both, you're not going to get the word. So you teach your child when you see it, you want to go ahead and recognize it and say it. And the way you do that, we teach sight words using tons of games, having the kids do hunts. We have them do like a leapfrog thing. We will write the words down on little lily pads and have them jump to the word that we say. Anything that will make it fun for them. When we go in the store, can you find this word? Can we do a word of the day? Sometimes we'll put the words up on the wall or on a necklace for the kids, but you want to make sure you are spending time focusing on those sight words. That is going to be really important if your child is struggling or if they're learning to read, to help them become competent readers. Let's go back. Look for them everywhere, and then use that same strategy that you're using for teaching the sight words to teach other words. So when they're doing academic words, when they're doing words for fun, you can use the same type of strategies. All right. I'm talking fast. I'm sorry. Okay. So putting it all together, you want to focus on the sight words. You want to make sure that you are spending the time to make sure your child is hearing the words that you're saying, hearing the words that they're also saying when you're talking to them, so that they can begin to put together the things that they are reading to become competent readers. So we used to say when children are in pre-K, kindergarten, first and second grade, they're learning to read because we're giving them the foundational skills to help them learn to read. And once they get in third grade, the teacher focuses on teaching them reading to learn. We want them to be able to pick up new information and retain it and add it to what they know. So we shift gears on some of the strategies that we're teaching. So you want to make sure your child is making connections to what they read. You want to focus in on when they're reading. If they're reading a story about basketball, do they notice that they're talking about dribbling? Do they notice that they're talking about the floor that they play on is a court? Do they know that they're shooting free throws? Any topic that your child is learning about or reading about, there is usually vocabulary that's attached to that topic. Same as with dancing, music, there are certain words specific to that concept. And when you're reading, it helps to know the vocabulary of whatever the topic is, or to learn the vocabulary of that topic so that you can build your understanding of what you know. Also, when we're trying to get your child to put it together, are they practicing good fluency skills? When they're reading, does it sound like it makes sense to them? Is your child confused when they're reading? Are they reading too fast? Are they reading too slow? Or are they reading just right? When teachers are teaching, we are listening to your child. And when we say your child is fluent, that means that they're reading at a certain rhythm. I like to have my students read like they talk. So I don't want them to talk too slow, and I don't want them to talk too fast, which I do a lot. But as you're learning to read, you start to adjust your rhythm so that you can figure out what a book is saying. If you spend too much time breaking down the words, then you start to lose the meaning or you can't put things together. So at the bottom, I just put a couple of the ranges to give you an idea of if your child is in first grade and it's the springtime, they should be within a range of maybe 53 words per minute to about 111 words per minute. So as you can see, there's a nice range of words or rates that they could have. But to make sure your child is within that range, that'll help you know if they're going to be understanding what they're reading. So for example, we have Eric Carl's Brown Bear, what do you see? When we teach them reading to our kids, we want to make sure that they're focusing on the pattern of the book. So as they're reading and they get better, you would do Brown Bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. So there's a certain flow to it. Red bird, what do you see? I see a yellow duck looking at me. And as you continue to read, especially these predictable types of books, your child is able to understand what they're reading because their brain is putting it together sort of like a conversation. So that's going to help them as they are practicing reading to go ahead and figure out if they understand what is going on. Another thing, when your child is trying to learn how to read, Are they asking themselves different questions as they're reading, along with them making the connections as you read? Is the child thinking about what's going to happen when I read this book? Do you ever show your child a book and say, can you tell me what you think is going to happen in this story? So that they can say, okay, that's a bear, so I'm probably going to read about animals. Or if you show your child that picture, will they go off topic and say, we're going to the park? Now, if you don't live near a park that has bears, then that will sort of tell you that they're not focused in on what it is that they may be reading. So you want your child to be thinking about, well, why do you say we're going to probably read about animals? Or why would you say we're going to read about going to the park? Because they might have a rational reason why they're thinking along those lines. Also, is your child thinking about what could happen next in the story? As you are watching a TV show, you're usually thinking, oh, I know what might happen. And then when that next scene happens, in your head, you should be going, oh, yeah, I didn't see that coming. Or, oh, that's what they meant. I missed that when I was watching the show. So, or did I miss the last episode? Because why are they acting like that? As we're reading, we're doing the same thing. So as you're teaching your child to read, or you're reading to your child or reading with them, start noticing if they're making connections to, that didn't make sense. I don't know why they did that. Or, okay, did we miss something? Let's go back and see. Or, I think I know what's going to happen next. So when you're trying to put things together, you want to make sure that some of the strategies that you use, and I tell my kids all the time, reading is sort of like the way you get better. It's like when you're dancing. To learn a new dance, you have to practice. So you have to keep practicing that dance until you get comfortable with it. Reading is the same thing, especially if your child is struggling. You want to keep encouraging them, keep motivating them. You may need to make adjustments, but you want to make sure that they keep practicing, because there's nothing wrong with starting off slow, but you want to keep practicing. All right, so let's get back to the basics. You want to make sure you start early with your child. Sometimes it may be a struggle if they start having some frustration when they're reading, but you can keep it light, you can keep it fun, you can keep it easy. Use your surroundings. Grab a book. And of course, I don't have another book, but let's see. Okay, I got this book. Grab anything that's around you. Oh, I got this strawberry melon. Something like that. And just ask your child about the letters that they see. It works with numbers too, but we're focusing on reading. But use your surroundings to encourage your child to read. Try to make sure you can create a personal library for your child. Now, I know a lot of people may not be going to the library, but we want you to take your child to the library. So create a personal library for them. Partner with your child's teacher. Find out if there's a way that you could get a couple of books if they're weeding through their books. If your child's teacher uses Scholastic News Magazine or Time for Kids magazines, save those issues, because there's a lot of good information in there that you could read over and over. And try to encourage some daily reading of some kind with your child, because as your child is building their reading skills, they will get better and better as long as they are practicing the right skills. I put a couple of surprising book facts over here so that you would understand why it's so important to start early. And I'm just going to read two of them. 80% of U.S. families did not buy or read a book last year. Now, of course, we hope that you're not in that percentage, but there are many people that are. So we want to start early, encouraging our children to look at reading positively so that they won't fall in that statistic. And 70% of U.S. adults have not been in a bookstore the last 5 years. Now, I know I love going to the bookstores, and a lot of them are closing, but there are still some fantastic bookstores around. And guess what? there are still tons of libraries available, and the books are still free. So you can make sure that your child is being exposed to books as often as possible, so that even if you're not ready to create that personal library, you could still take them to the library to check out awesome books. All right. We want to make it count, especially when we're going back to basics. All reading counts. Even if you may not like the genre that your child wants to read, they may want to read comic books all day. It is okay. You want to start with the basic skills and just keep on building on what they're learning. Repetition is going to be the key to improvement when you're helping your child learn to read. We want all our children to be competent readers so that they can be competent, critical thinking adults. So all reading counts. Graphic novels, the libraries actually still have audio books. They have ebooks available. If you have some old magazines laying around, let your child flip through and look at the pictures. Guess what? Read alouds also count. So you could actually read to your child. And guess what I use in my classroom? YouTube and TeacherTube actually have read alouds available, so that if you're not sure about the rhythm of a book, you can let your child listen to somebody else read that story. And that will still count. You have movie captions. I know a lot of people that love to turn their television on and turn on the CC, but the captions, and they will read it as they're going. All of that helps as you are learning to build your reading skills. And my favorite, the back of the cereal box. Now, I don't think that the back of the cereal boxes are as fun as they were when I was coming up, but there's still some good fun stuff on there for your child to read. Let them look at that box every time they get a bowl of cereal. Let them look at the back of a Doritos bag if they're eating a Doritos, or if they have a healthy snack. Let them read the words that are on that package. You will be surprised how much it will help them as they are building their reading skills. Let's see. And you would be surprised that there are resources all around you. Burst Into Books organization is definitely one of the favorites that I would love to recommend. If you do not know about Burst Into Books, please check out their website, and I should have linked it, but they have tons of free resources available. They do a wonderful WOW Literature Fest every summer that you should get your child involved in, where they can go meet fantastic writers and authors and illustrators and organizations that are promoting literacy. If you are in the Chicagoland area, Chicago Public Libraries and the 81 Club is fantastic. You can use the resources there. Your child does not have to have a full library card, but they're able to check out books. They could browse different genres, because if your child loves anime and you don't want to invest that money to see if they'll stick with it, you can go and check out a couple of anime books. Or if they're into dogs, you can go check out 10 books about dogs. And then if they're really, really interested in it and you want to build a personal library for them, you could do that as well. Open Books is another great resource that I would like to recommend that has free and reasonably priced books available. And if your child goes to Chicago Public Schools, because I had to look this up, there is a fantastic resource that your child has an opportunity to utilize. And I'm going to just show it to you really quick. So your child will be able to log on to the SOAR programming site that's connected to Chicago Public Schools, and there are amazing digital resources available for your child. There are ebook resources available, and guess what? They actually have books in Spanish as well. But if your child is doing research and you need a basis to start, if you want your child to build their reading skills, you could use pictures and have them talk about those pictures on something like Image Quest. And guess what? As they go up in grade levels, they even have additional resources available for your child. But the 3 to 5, this Gill in Context actually is for kindergarten through 5. So And if you just so happen to have older kids, even if they're struggling, you could go from level to level, helping them use resources to build their reading skills. It does not have to be connected to an assignment. That is something I want to make sure I point out. When your child is learning how to read, you want to try to keep it as fun as possible. Don't get caught in the trap where your child has to read something and answer 50 questions, because I know we used to do that at some point in education. Let your child read for fun. Think about how much fun you have when you're on social media and you're scrolling and you see something and you go, oh, I don't like that. And you go to the next thing. Give your child an opportunity to do that type of reading. They may see something they want to talk about. They may see something that they don't really like. Let them have the opportunity to browse different books, different resources. Also, if you need some additional help working with your child, think about following some Instagram and TikTok librarians. They have great book selections available that they like to share uh, with the general public that will help you build your child's reading journey going forward. And surprisingly, in the App Store, there are tons of reading apps available that you could use to help your child build their reading skills. And last slide, what can you do? Look for resources. Look for a way to work with your child to help them get back to those basics. Because as your child strengthens their basics, they will be able to expand what they're engaging with. Sing nursery rhymes. I know we kind of moved away from them, but those basics help children read. Do letter play. Do word play activities. Uh, Ask your child, I'll say a word, you tell me a word that rhymes. Or you tell me a word that starts with the same letter. Or if I say cat, you say, and see if they can give you a word that sounds the same. Find some predictable books. If you need a list, trust me. Ask one of those librarians, ask one of those bookstores. They can give you a ton of books to help your child find predictable books to read. Stay engaged with your child's teacher if your child is in a regular school to see what skills and strategies they're using to teach your child to read. It is teaching rocket science as we're teaching children how to read, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. You can also use those same strategies and skills to help improve your child's reading. And then learn what your child is interested in reading. Go to bookstores and libraries. Like I said, they have a wide range of book topics available so that you don't have to spend so much money up front and your child decides, oh, I don't like that author or I don't like that topic. Go to the library and check the books out. And then if you find out they really like it, start building their library from there. And one of the last resources I'm going to show you really quickly is Starfall, which is one of my kids' favorites. It's a free component to it, but there's also, if you want to pay, an additional component to it. And it goes back to phonics, sight words, phonemic awareness, and helping to build comprehension as your child is learning how to read. So if you just browse over this page, you see they have ABC games. They have learning to read games, I'm reading games. They have a variety of other games that your child, they will read words to your child and your child can repeat them back. Or your child, if they're at the level where they can read, they can go ahead and read it. And I'm going to end by showing you one of my favorites. All right, so this is a game that I play with my kids at school. And I have them click on usually the first letter in their name. My name is Denise. I'm going to click on D. So you can load this into your iPad if you want. You can load it up on your home computer. And I'm just going to show you.
D.
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 D. And we tell them click on the star. Click on the star.
D. Doll.
Doll.
Dancing doll.
dancing dog. So they have great graphics, but it's getting your child engaged with seeing the letters, seeing the words, hearing the sounds.
Ducks.
Ducks. Very quick.
Dinosaur.
Dinosaur. So the kids laugh and giggle, but they're hearing those letters.
Make a match.
And it ends off with this really cool game. And I'm going to go really quick. You click. J. And I'll tell them the picture J. Apple. Snake. Rainbow. Yo-yo. Apple. Snake. Snake. And as you find the matches, it uncovers pieces of the puzzle.
Apple.
Girl. Girl.
Girl.
Jet.
Jet.
Rainbow. Rainbow.
Rainbow.
Yo-yo. Yo-yo.
Yo-yo.
And then the dinosaur dances.
Dinosaur dance.
It's dinosaur dance.
And I'm going to stop that. And I'm going to come back. So I just wanted to give you a couple of ideas of different things that you could do with your child as you are learning or helping them learn how to read, because we're seeing a lot of children struggling right now, and we need to try to get back to those basics. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll make sure I check in. I'll try to go in and drop a few resources into the comments if I'm available or if I'm able to. But hopefully you learned something that will help you on your child's journey to reading, so that when you go back to those basics, your child will have a strong foundation as they're on their reading journey. Have an amazing day, and thank you so much.